Okay. So the basic control strategy of SRM or the basic control circuit of SRM is as shown in figure. Okay. So this is now your the basic control circuit of your switch reluctance motor. Now whatever things which are there in this block diagram, you are familiar with most of the things. Let's see. You are familiar with this particular circuit. So this circuit is actually your power converter circuit which is used to excite a particular phases. Now if you look towards this circuit we have already discussed in previous lecture. So this circuit consists total 6 IGBTs or 6 switching devices along with a 6 freewheeling diodes. Okay, so that is your first type of a power converter circuit. Okay, so now SRM is considered as a three-phase SRM. So three-phase is three-phase winding, winding A, winding B and winding C. These are the phase windings. Actually these phase windings consist two halves or two equal coils which are placed diametrically opposite and connected in series. You are familiar with that construction. But for sake of simplicity only, here we represent that two windings with a single turn. Okay, single winding or single coil. So coil A, coil B and coil C, these are actually the phase windings. Now the upper leg switching devices are T1, T3, T5, lower leg switching devices are T2, T4 and T6. Now this upper leg switching devices turn on time is generally governed based on the position of rotor. Therefore, we have to sense the rotor position. So for that purpose, here the position sensors are used. That position sensors are generally the rotor position sensors, which is either combination of the Perspex disc along with the decoder circuit, that is encoder decoder circuit, or that may be Hall effect type of sensors. Okay. So this is what it is, the rotor position sensor, and that rotor position sensors are generally used to turn on the upper leg switching devices of the control circuit or power converter circuit. The lower leg circuits, that is the lower leg switching devices, are generally controlled with the help of the chopping frequency or a stepping frequency of the particular drive. For that purpose we have to sense the speed of motor. Okay, how we sense that speed? The simple sensor which is used to sense the speed of motor is the tacho generator. So we use one tacho generator. The tacho generator is what? It is a simple DC generator which is connected और which is coupled, connected के अलावा coupled word appropriate है, which is coupled on shaft of motor. So depending upon the speed of a rotation of that motor, there will be induction of EMF inside that DC generator, because if you recall the EMF equation of DC generator, that equation is P5ZN divided by 60 times A. So EMF is generally proportional to speed of rotation. Okay, and as that tacho generator is coupled on same shaft of SRM, the rotating speed of SRM and rotating speed of generator, that speed is same. Okay, therefore whatever output of that tacho generator is there, that tacho generator output is proportional to the speed of that SRM. Now again, speed of SRM is not a continuous, SRM is not a continuous movement drive, it is again stepwise movement. So at every step there will be induction of EMF inside that tacho generator, and that voltage pulse is enough to drive the lower leg power transistor or power converters. Okay. So in power converter circuit, lower leg switches are generally controlled, that is turn on time is generally controlled using a chopping frequency or stepping frequency. For that purpose it is necessary to sense the speed of SRM, and to sense that speed we use one tacho generator. So now this much part of circuit is I think you are getting this part. So we have learned this particular circuit in previous class, and to generate position, to sense the rotor position and the rotor speed, we use these two sensing devices. Now there is a base gate driver circuit or base driver circuit. Okay, when we use a transistor as a switch, then definitely there is a base driver circuit. When we use any power converter, power switching device as a switch like a MOSFET or SCR or you can say IGBT, then there will be gate driver circuits. Okay, so depending upon the type of power switches which are used in power converter circuit, either there are base driver circuits or gate driver circuits. Okay, so these base driver and gate driver circuits have been excited, or whatever input is there, that input is generally provided from the rotor position sensor and the tacho generator, that is actually the position of rotor, and second one is the speed of SRM. So that will be provided through or provided as an input to the base driver circuit. That input is again provided through some monostable multivibrator, actually that is to generate a required clock pulses, and signal conditioning devices. I think you are familiar with this signal conditioner. So whatever output of these sensors, I think in fundamentals of electrical machines and measurement, we have studied signal conditioning unit. So what is need of that signal conditioning unit? Sensor output is generally not in a suitable form which can be able to use directly. So initially we have to condition that output, and for that purpose it is necessary to use a signal conditioners along with a sensor. So that might be there will be low amplitude, might be there are certain noise signals or unwanted signal present in that sensor output. So initially we have to remove that particular noise signals or unwanted signals. For that purpose we use some filter circuits. Okay, might be output is very low, that is the magnitude of whatever voltage. Sensor output is what? It is simple voltage. Okay, any sensor or maximum sensor generally gives output in terms of electrical parameter, and the major parameter or well-known parameter which is obtained as output at a sensor is voltage. So किसी भी सेंसर आपने देखा और मैक्सिमम सेंसर्स के आउटपुट में क्या आपको मिलता है, तो वहाँ पे वोल्टेज मिलता है. Might be magnitude of that voltage is less, or might be magnitude of that voltage is more. So according to your actual circuit, control circuit, initially we have to change the magnitude of that particular voltages. That means we have to change the level of sensor output. For that purpose we can use either amplifier or attenuators. So these amplifiers, attenuators, then adders, subtractors, comparators, or maybe filters, all these are nothing but your signal conditioner. So for every sensor we have to use certain signal conditioners so that the output of sensors can be conditioned, and that can be used for our further control circuits or further control or as a further control signals. Okay. So for that purpose, if you look towards this block diagram, for every sensor there is a certain signal conditioner, and that signal conditioner generally converts the output of sensor into suitable form. Okay. Now how this particular control scheme will work? So whatever general structure of that control circuit is there, we are talking about general structure in detail, or a specific control strategy we have not discussed in this particular point. So only we are going to study the general strategy of control in this particular bit, and in next 2 bits we are going to discuss actual control circuits, that is either microprocessor based control circuits or sensorless control circuits of SRM. Okay. So for the control of SRM, first of all there should be proper synchronization between excitation of a stator phase with the rotor position, because in very first lecture I have told that SRM is nothing but it is a simple variable reluctance stepper motor, but the basic difference is there is, or SRM always works under closed loop condition. So whenever we run a variable reluctance synchronous motor, stepper motor in closed loop condition, that working is similar to your switch reluctance motor. So always there should be synchronization between whatever excitation voltage which we are going to apply for SRM, that is excitation voltage which is applied to stator phase, and the actual rotor position, because we generally provide excitation pulse to the respective stator phases only when there will be completion of work which is carried out by first pulse. So say initially we excite phase A. Whenever A phase excitation work get completed, that means suppose after exciting phase A, the rotor of SRM should be moved with say 15 degree. So whenever that 15 degree rotation get completed, then and then only we have to excite phase B. Okay. So this is actual work is nothing but your synchronized work. So always SRM should be work under synchronized condition, and for that purpose there should be proper synchronization between excitation voltage which we are going to apply for SRM phase and the position of a rotor. So that is nothing but your output of rotor position sensor. Okay. So again, if you recall the torque equation of SRM, okay, we have derived that torque equation of SRM in this particular chapter itself. So from torque equation of SRM, the positive torque is produced only during the inductance is under rising rate. So when this SRM produce positive torque, whenever there is a rise in inductance, under that case only there will be formation of positive torque. I think you are familiar with the variation in inductance of a stator phase. Rise in inductance, constant inductance, again there will be fall in inductance and constant inductance, and due to this variation of inductance only there will be working of SRM. So entire working of SRM, that is nothing but entire torque development in SRM depends upon the variation of stator phase inductances. Okay. So whatever torque which is developed, that is in torque equation, it is clear that the positive torque is generated only when there is a rise in inductance. Okay. So the positive torque is generally developed when the inductance is rising as the shaft angle increases, and this shaft angle, this is nothing but your dl by d theta, that should be greater than 0. When dl by d theta, that rate of rise of theta is what? Theta is actually your rotor position angle. Okay, so whenever there is a rate of rise of this theta with respect to inductance with respect to theta is greater than 0, then and then only there will be formation of positive torque in case of switch reluctance motor. Okay. Now the desired operation is to maintain current during this period. So we have to simply circulate the excitation current during this particular period, and entire operation depends upon how smoothly we circulate that particular current to the particular stator phase. Okay. Now the time period during which the phase conducts, I think this concept you have learned in power electronics. So whenever there will be the conduction of phase, any phase, that particular time period is generally known as a dwell angle. So what is the dwell angle? Dwell angle is nothing but the time period for which the phases conduct. Now there will be two dwell angle, either that dwell angle will be minimum or dwell angle will be maximum. In simple, forget about dwell angle concept, that is nothing but simple conduction angle of your switching device. Conduction angle अभी आपको पता है, तो a particular time period for which that switching device will conduct, means in simple that switching device will under closed condition. So that whenever that switching device is under closed condition, then and then only there will be flow of current through that switching devices. Okay, and we can control that angle of conduction, क्योंकि ये पावर कन्वर्टर, पावर सेमीकंडक्टर स्विचेस जो है उसका कंट्रोल आपके पास है. It is not possible to control conduction time of diode. Okay, there is no any control on conduction period of diode or conduction time of diode, but we can control that conduction period or conduction time for either IGBTs, SCR, MOSFET or any power converter or power semiconductor devices. Okay, so maximum conduction angle is 120 degree, minimum conduction angle is 0. So there will be 0 to 120 degree conduction. I think you have learned that particular conduction, 0 to 120 degree, 0 to 180 degree conduction in inverter circuits, power inverter circuits. Okay. So the minimum dwell angle generally gives the maximum efficiency in case of SRM, whereas the maximum dwell angle generally gives the maximum torque. So whenever dwell angle is minimum or conduction angle is minimum, at that time we obtain maximum efficiency. Whenever dwell angle is maximum, at that time we obtain maximum torque. Okay. Now for SRM, a proper synchronization between these dwell angle should be there, and that dwell angle generally varies between minimum to maximum value. Okay, so there will be no any perfect maximum or minimum angle conduction. तो किसी भी SRM में ऐसे मैक्सिमम एंगल पे कंडक्ट हो रहा है, मिनिमम एंगल पे कंडक्ट हो रहा है, वही नहीं, वो ऐसा नहीं है. So for proper synchronization or for proper working of that SRM, the dwell angle or in simple conduction angle of the particular power semiconductor switches is varies in between a minimum and maximum dwell angle position. Okay. Now whatever control scheme is there, that control scheme is as shown in figure. So this is the control scheme which we have which I have already explained. So let's see how that control scheme works. So the rotor position can be sensed by an optical encoder or by an Hall effect sensor. So Hall effect sensor or optical encoder, these are generally used to sense the position of a rotating device. Okay, so these are actually two types of sensors which are generally used to sense the position. So whatever here rotor position is used or rotor position is marked, that rotor position is generally sensed. This is actually either encoder or that is optical encoder, or that may be Hall effect sensor. Now this is implemented, Hall effect sensor. Now the output of this particular Hall effect sensor or optical encoder is directly provided, or that may be indirectly provided to the base driver circuit, and that is used to turn on the upper leg power semiconductor switches. Okay, so the output is generally provided to turn on the upper leg switches. That upper leg switches are generally T1, T3 and T5. Okay, so the power transistors, here actually that circuit consists power transistors. We can use power IGBTs, we can use power MOSFET, that depends upon the condition or working condition of that particular SRM, the current rating which is flowing through the or value of current which is flowing through stator winding, that is nothing but the current rating of SRM. So depending upon that, we have to select this power semiconductor switches, either we use transistors, IGBTs or MOSFETs. Okay, so these upper leg switches T1, T3, T5 are turn on and turn off by the signal corresponding to the rotor position. Now output of this rotor position sensor is generally of a lower magnitude, therefore initially we have to increase the magnitude of that particular output of a sensor, and for that purpose we use here signal conditioners. So that signal conditioner generally consists amplifier circuits and filter circuits. So whatever unwanted signals which are there in rotor position, there may be certain spikes, there may be certain unwanted noise signals. So that signals can be filtered out using filter circuits. If that magnitude is low, then we generally use amplifier so that that magnitude is rises, and that can be easily applied for the further control circuitry. So this signal conditioner which is used at output of this position sensor, that signal conditioner generally consists amplifiers and filters. Okay, that filters generally used to filter out the unwanted noise signals which are there in sensor output, and the amplifiers are generally used to increase the amplitude of that sensor output so that that can be easily or that output can be useful for our further control circuitry. Now whatever transistors T2, T4 and T6, that transistors are generally controlled by the chopping frequency, that are nothing but your lower leg transistors. So lower leg transistors are generally controlled by chopping frequency signal, and this chopping frequency signal is generally ANDed with the rotor position. So if you look this control circuit, these three signals are generally lower leg signals, lower leg transistor signal. So if you look this connection diagram, the output of this rotor position sensor, that output of rotor position sensor is decoded, because this is encoder. Okay, encoder, so we have to decode that output. So for that purpose we use one decoder, and that decoded output is provided to the base driver or gate driver circuit. So for upper leg transistors, directly rotor output, rotor sensor position output is provided as a input. If you look towards this diagram, upper three signals 1, 2 and 3, these are directly from decoder, whereas the lower leg transistor are turned on, and that turning on time generally based on the chopping frequency. This chopping frequency is generally ANDed with the rotor position. So for that purpose here 3 AND gates are used. Okay, here 3 AND gates are used. So one input to this AND gate, that first input is what? It is the decoder output. तीनों AND गेट को एक जो इनपुट है, AND गेट हैज टू इनपुट्स. आई थिंक यू आर फैमिलियर विद द ट्रूथ टेबल ऑफ AND गेट. ओके, so there are two inputs and one input is generally the output of this decoder, that is nothing but one input is from rotor position sensor. Second input is actually the output of a tacho generator, that is nothing but your chopping frequency. So chopping frequency signal is always ANDed with the rotor position sensor. Now how that chopping frequency input is provided? So output of this tacho generator is given to the signal conditioner. So output of this signal conditioner is applied to comparator. Okay, so this is the comparator where this omega is what? Omega is the angular velocity. That angular velocity is compared with the omega reference. So always there is a comparison between this omega and omega reference, and according to the preset condition which we provide, that preset conditions for comparators are either omega should be greater than omega reference. There will be three possible preset conditions which can be provided to that comparator. एक condition क्या रहेगा? Omega is greater than omega reference. So if omega is greater than omega reference, produced output. Second condition, omega is equal to omega reference, produced output pulse. Third is, if omega is less than omega reference, produced output. So according to the preset condition which is provided to this comparator will generate the output. Okay, so always there is a comparison between the actual angular speed of that motor with the reference speed. Reference speed is actually, or that reference speed depends upon the desired chopping frequency or desired stepping frequency. ये reference किसके ऊपर depend करेगा? आपको कितना stepping frequency चाहिए, उसके ऊपर वो reference depend करेगा. And this omega is what? It is the actual rotating frequency, or it is the actual speed of that motor. So there is a comparison. According to the preset condition, this comparator will generate the reference current. Basically, maximum times comparator output is in terms of current. Now this reference current is generally provided to another comparator. So this is actually close part. This is reference. So this is what? It is the I reference, and that I reference is compared with the stator current. Whatever actual stator current which is flowing through these stator windings, this is what? It is the stator current or phase currents, you can say, or in simple you can say that excitation current. So this reference current and excitation current is compared, and this output of this second current comparator is given to the monostable oscillator that will produce the clock signal or clock pulses according to these two inputs, and this output is ANDed with the decoder output. Okay, and according to the truth table of this AND gate, there will be generation of the logic sequence for this base driver circuit, and that will control the switching period of these lower leg transistors. Okay, so always the chopping frequency is ANDed with a rotor position sensor, and that output is provided to base driver circuit or gate driver circuit of a lower leg transistors. Okay, so here T2, T4 and T6 are controlled by the chopping frequency signal which is ANDed with the rotor position signal. Now always for control strategy of SRM, the forward control loop is always the voltage control loop. Forward control loop जो है वो control loop क्या है? Voltage control loop है, and this is generally implemented by the monostable clock at a constant reference frequency. So whatever voltage pulse which is generated, that is after comparison of I reference with actual excitation current, whatever comparator output is there, that comparator output is given to monostable clock, and that monostable clock produced or generates the voltage signal. That voltage signal is actually used to drive this voltage control loop. Now the duty cycle is generally controlled by the reference voltage that is represents the desired speed. So whatever duty cycle of power transistors or power semiconductor devices are there, that duty cycle is controlled with the desired speed of SRM. Okay. Now again, if you look towards this basic block diagram, then there is a PWM reference oscillator. I think PWM concept you are familiar with this, pulse width modulation. Okay, माहिती येणार आहे. PWM पॉवर कन्व्हर्टर PEDC मध्ये झालेला आहे. Power electronics devices and circuits. Okay, so that is a PWM reference oscillator. So the PWM output is applied only to the lower switching devices, because that is given through this monostable clock. So whatever reference PWM signal is there, that PWM signal with a reference frequency, any reference frequency is applied to the lower switching devices. Okay. Now the basic driver circuit for the transistor or for MOSFET or for IGBT is as shown in figure. So this is actually the basic driver circuit of MOSFET or IGBT. Okay, so this is driver circuit. So again there is a isolation between the power signals and control signals, that means sensor output, which is nothing but the decoder output. Decoder output is not directly applied to the base circuit or base terminal of transistor or gate terminal of IGBT and MOSFET. So there is a electrical isolation provided between this decoder output and gate signal of actual switching device. So for that purpose we always use optocoupler. So optocoupler generally used to provide isolation between the decoder output and actual gate signal. In simple, optocouplers are the devices which are used to provide electrical isolation. So whenever it is necessary to provide isolation between power circuits and control circuits, because यहाँ तक क्या है, this is actually your control circuits. Encoder is actually the part of, decoder is actually your part of control circuit. Base circuit or gate circuit of power switching device is what? It is actually power circuit. So always transistor side or your semiconductor switching device side is power circuit side, and it is necessary to provide electrical isolation between control circuit and power circuit. So there is no any electrical connection between control and power circuit. The reason is always power circuit handles very large value of current, whereas control circuits handles a current which is maximum up to 5 ampere or less than that. The general control circuit current is 1 ampere. Control circuit handles only low value of current. So if there is any transients occurs in power circuits, and if we not provide any electrical isolation between power and control circuits, then definitely transients which occurs on power circuit may cause a damage to control circuit. If there is a electrical connection between that two, दोनों में यदि connection है तो क्या होगा, जो transients power circuit पे आएंगे, that may be switching transients, that may be another voltage spikes, whatever. So that transients will damage the control circuit, because control circuit is not capable of handling very large values of current. So to avoid such kind of damage due to transients, it is necessary to isolate these both circuit, and the best option to isolate this circuit is optocouplers or optoisolators. Okay, so in every control systems there is a optoisolator. Okay, so when you go for your final year projects and if you implement any control strategies, then definitely you have to use a optoisolator or optocoupler, so that there is a electrical isolation between control and power circuit. Okay, so this is the simple base driver circuit. Now again, this is base driver circuit which is there for transistor, power transistor. Depending upon type of switching devices, there might be certain variations in these base driver circuits. Now due to development in this power semiconductor and IC technologies, now directly base driver ICs are available. Okay, so there is no necessity of implementing this entire circuit in hardware form. Directly one small IC will provide the base driver circuit, or it can be work as an entire base driver circuit. Okay, so single IC is used to generates the gate pulses for either 4 4 IGBTs MOSFET, 6 IGBTs MOSFET. So there are various packages of these base driver ICs or gate driver ICs. Okay, so there is no necessity of constructing this particular gate driver circuit also. Okay. Now this is about the basic simple control strategy. In detail we are going to discuss this in microprocessor and sensorless control, but basic circuit or basic control strategies is like this. Upper leg switching devices are controlled with a rotor position sensor. Lower leg switching devices are controlled with a speed sensor or generally with tacho generator, that is nothing but your chopping frequency or stepping frequency. Always stepping frequency is ANDed with the rotor position sensor. Okay, and accordingly there is a excitation provided to this gate driver or base driver circuit, and according to the different signals which are received from this decoder and AND gates, particular leg of transistor will operate so that there will be excitation of a particular phases. Okay. Now as I have already explained, there is the important part which is the rotor position sensor. So two sensors are widely used to sense the rotor position. That two sensors are, first one is the optical position sensing and second one is the Hall effect sensing scheme. Okay. So I think you have familiar with this Hall effect transducer. Hall effect sensing scheme generally use the Hall effect transducer. Okay, and that Hall effect transducer generally produce the required output in terms of the voltage signal. I think you are not familiar with this particular scheme. So this is what it is, the optical positioning sensing scheme. So this sensing scheme generally consists a perspex disc that consists certain number of teeth and certain number of slots. Now how many teeth and slots are there? Always the number of teeth and number of slots which are present on this disc is equal to the number of slots which are there on rotor of SRM. So if you look towards this particular optical disc, that optical disc generally consists 6 teeth and 6 slots. So we generally use this particular optical disc for the SRM in which the number of rotor teeth is equal to 6. So there are the different combinations. So if we consider 8 by 6 combination of SRM, 8 by 6 means 8 rotor poles, 8 stator poles and 6 rotor teeth or 6 rotor slots. Then for 8 by 6 combination we can use this particular optical disc. Okay. So this disc is generally mounted on a rotor shaft of SRM, and this disc is generally used as a encoder disc. So this disc has the number of slots and teeth, and those are equal to the number of slots and teeth of actual rotor. So जितने rotor के ऊपर slots है उतने slots इस disc के ऊपर चाहिए. The slots and teeth are of equal width. So that is again one important constraint whenever we are going to construct this encoder optical disc. So whatever width is there, that width should be equal to, that means this is nothing but your in simple beta r, that should be equal to beta s. Okay, what is beta r and beta s? While deriving or while explaining concept of rise in variation in inductance, we have studied that two concepts, beta r and beta s. It is actually slot length of rotor and teeth length of rotor. Okay, slot length and teeth length. So this beta r and alpha r both should be equal. So this disc is generally mounted on rotor shaft. So this is actually front view. The side view is like this. Now if you look towards this side view, this is actually the disc. There are sensor holes provided on the slots of this particular disc. Okay, so these are the slots of disc. So there are sensor holes are provided. On one side of disc there is a emitter. That emitter is either a photo emitter or that may be LED. Okay, and on second side there is a collector, or that may be decoder, or you can say that emitter collector arrangement is there or encoder decoder arrangement is there. So on second side there will be a decoder. So whenever there is a movement of this disk takes place, actually how many sensors should be there, number of sensors should be equal to number of slots. हर एक slot के ऊपर एक sensor रहता है, and whenever that sensor passes in front of that light signal, there will be generation of a pulse at a collector side. Okay, so this is your actual optical position sensing scheme for SRM. Okay, so in SRM this scheme is widely used. Now along with this particular scheme, now there is a one more scheme which is used to sense the position of rotor, and this is Hall effect sensing scheme. In detail we are going to study this Hall effect sensing scheme in BLDC. Okay, same logic is there in SRM, because in BLDC actual rotor position is sensed by this Hall effect sensors, and there is a one separate bit for this Hall effect sensing scheme of a rotor position for BLDC. Okay, so in detail we are going to study this particular Hall effect sensing scheme in BLDC motor. I think you are familiar with this Hall effect sensor. We have I have already explained this construction and working of this Hall effect sensor in FEMM subject. Okay, so only two Hall effect sensors are used for a one particular phase. Okay, or one particular rotor slots, there will be two Hall effect sensors, and that two sensors are generally embedded in stator itself. Okay, so that are internally fixed with the motor, and only outputs of that Hall effect sensors are taken over the terminals of that motor. Okay, so if we directly buy SRM with Hall effect sensors as a rotor position sensors, then we will obtain terminals of Hall effect sensors as well as the terminals of stator phase on that motor terminal box. Okay, so this Hall effect sensor, there is no necessity of connecting that sensors externally. That sensors are inbuilt inside that motor construction itself, whereas when we go for optical sensors, it is necessary to implement that optical sensors to external side. Whatever extension of that slot is there, sorry, extension of shaft is there, over that shaft we have to paste that optical disc, and on both side of that disc, on one side there will be emitter circuit, on second side there will be collector circuit. So we have to fix that optical sensing arrangement for the rotor position sensor external to the motor, whereas this Hall effect sensing arrangement is built inside that motor. Okay, that terminals are directly available on motor terminal box. We can directly connect that terminals to our control circuits. Okay, so this is about the basic control strategy which is used for motor. Now in next circuit we are going to study these current regulator circuits or current regulators, and then we will proceed towards the microprocessor based control of switch reluctance motor. So only two bits are remaining from this chapter. One is the microprocessor based control strategy, and second one is the sensorless control of SRM. Okay, this sensorless control of switch reluctance motor. So we will discuss that two bits in next two lectures.